Hey guys, my name is John King here at Redesign.co and SGILeads.com, strategically partnered with Success Group International. I invite you to reach out to our team and schedule a free digital marketing consultation to talk about what you're currently doing to promote yourself out there in your market and what we might be able to do to help you better generate more phone calls, brand awareness, and revenue for your business, leveraging what more than 100 SGI members already leverage to generate higher quality leads for their businesses. If you feel like you're not getting the best out of your digital marketing and you're trying to figure out what the other successful SGI members are doing, give me a shout. Would love to talk to you. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome to Successful Contractor, powered by Success Group International, a show for residential contractors about residential contractors. We chronicle business journeys, share insights, and celebrate successes in this wonderful industry. I'm your host, Bob Houchin. Hello there, SGI family and other contractor friends. I'm so thankful you're here. As a reminder, all episodes of the Successful Contractor Show are available on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice. Also, if you're a non-member interested in learning more about SGI and how we can help your business grow both on the top and bottom line while also becoming a part of the contracting industry's largest network of contractors, we have Profit Day seminars in St. Louis, Lansing, Michigan, Atlanta, Little Rock, Arkansas, Nashville, and Chicago. Give us a call at 866-299-8505 to attend. SGI members in those markets, if you'd like to come and share with everyone your experience with the group, give your coach a call. We'd greatly appreciate your help. Today's show is another SGI Monthly Member Discussion. These are interactive, live programs where I interview SGI members on a particular topic. In this discussion, I talked to Tim Boulden of Boulden Brothers in Newark, Delaware, and Brian Leech of Service Legends in Des Moines, Iowa. The topic of today's discussion is marketing, everyone's favorite topic, namely how to stop guessing and instead think strategically about your marketing. We cover an assortment of topics from branding to planning and budgeting, to media options, to target audiences, and tracking and more. Both Tim and Brian are members who've been with SGI almost a combined 40 years. They're highly successful, seasoned contractors and marketers who are just great guys as well. In fact, I think both have been on the Successful Contractor Show within the last 12 months. But I value their insight on marketing so much, I thought it was appropriate to bring them back. So without further ado, here's my discussion with Tim Boulden of Boulden Brothers in Newark, Delaware, and Brian Leech of Service Legends in Des Moines, Iowa. I hope you enjoy it and take away a nugget or two. We have two exceptional panelists with me today. I think together they might be represent almost 40 years with SGI or an SGI-related company. So let me introduce them. Our first is Mr. Tim Boulden of Boulden Brothers in Newark, Delaware. So Tim, if you could flip your camera on, I would appreciate it, sir. There he is.
Hey, Bob.
Mr. Boulden. How are you doing, sir?
I'm well, thanks.
Very good, very good. And we also have Mr. Brian Leech of Service Legends in Des Moines, Iowa. Brian, there we go. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us, sir.
You bet. My pleasure.
Well, yeah, it's a pleasure of mine to have you both on. Two great contractors, been in the organization a long time, have helped a lot of people along the way. Before we dig into today's discussion a little bit, just kind of let people know how you guys are doing and kind of understand the scope of your business. Tim, how's 2022 going so far? Are you guys on target with your goals?
Yeah, we are up almost 26% over the first quarter of last year.
Wow, that's great.
And that's 10% over budget. So we were budgeted for 10.7 this year. It looks like we're on track to do about 11.5.
That's great. That's great. Just got to find some more manpower, right? So
that's exactly right. Yeah, we just had our first $1 million month ever in the company this March.
Oh, congratulations! Very nice. Very nice.
We're excited about
I like that smile. You can tell that hit a nerve. There you go. I love it. I love it. Brian, how's everything going with you guys? I know you were ramping up some marketing in the first quarter to kind of making a push, right?
Yeah, so we had grown 27% last year,
Yep.
and I, of course, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, we'll just do that again. And so we built a budget for 28, and we are on target right now so far we're at 7.5% growth over last year. So we got to grow into that number. We got a lot of work to do.
Sure.
And from a profitability standpoint, we added 20 team members. So wow. That's like 25% in about 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know what profit is anymore in that moment of time. And everything's going to be good because I look back in former years, I would be like, yeah, we need about 7 more technicians on May 29th, and it's like you can't deploy them by June in our model.
Right.
You got to train them. So
right.
yeah, so we're proactively preparing for another big year.
That's great. That's great. Investing in the business. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Again, let's start digging into our topic of marketing. Just based on what I'm looking at my screen, Tim, you're on top there. Who manages marketing in your business, and how involved are you in what they're doing day to day?
We have a sales and marketing manager, and she does all the day-to-day stuff, and she's all part of all the major decisions. But I am very involved in setting the budget, and then once we get to that point, we try and be a set it and forget it kind of marketing. So we're planning out the whole year, who we're mailing to when the TV, when the radio is going to go, what the creative is going to be. So we don't have many changes during the course of the year. There's some minor tweaks, some changes that we'll make, but for the most part, it's 95% done when we finish the budget.
Okay. Do you two meet weekly or quarterly to discuss how different mediums are performing, or if they're hitting expectations, or what's that conversation look like between the two of you?
She meets with, especially the internet marketing people. She has calls with them each week.
Yeah.
TV and radio, it's almost impossible to determine the impact other than we're growing. So your mail, it's easy for us to see. We can track it with service type, and we can see the calls that we're getting by the unique numbers, and we can see the revenue that drives through. So most of them we don't look at on a weekly basis, but the internet, she does have a weekly update meeting.
Right. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Tim. Brian, how about you? Who manages marketing in your business, and how frequently, I guess I should say, how active are you in those the net management process of it?
I would say it was probably one of the hardest areas of the business for me to let go. I loved it the most, and I was great at about half of it, and I absolutely flat out sucked at the other half. And so when that wall came crumbling down, and the clarity and truth of knowing what I'm good at, knowing what I'm not, it was a painful season. But we had a person on the team that was running our HR team, and she's a high-level leader, just high impact. Her name's Val, and she fell in love with the marketing aspect, and she said, give it to me. And so I spent a couple years real close, equipping her all the way back to even some of the marketing training in the old GM Success series, like John Young's Marketing University, right? Yeah,
that is old school.
So I spent a couple years with that, and current state, she runs it. I don't touch it, only from a consultative approach. And then obviously from a management approach. All right, how we track them with our calls, is something broken, and what is it? So that's really my level of involvement. We use Brand Guys for radio. We use a local company that was had a real good visual presence for us, and rebuilt the brand aesthetically. I'm good at creative writing. I suck at figuring out if the picture's straight or not. And she's got the right picture for the dining room. It's not my gift. So we hired that team, and they do our TV spots and keep it consistent with the brand. I would say the digital PPC world has been bumpy at best over the last 5 years. Seems like every external vendor we used had these big areas of gap. They might be really good at some aspects, and so I was pretty frustrated with it. So we just made the decision to hire, and they change people, so you got an account manager, and pretty soon you got to retrain them, which I don't think I should have to hire, external vendor and have to train them. But so we made the decision probably 3-4 years ago to hire an analytical side of the marketing engine, and she manages all of our digital, does a good amount of SEO, and so we have a niche role on our team that's the analytical. Our next move would be to bring on the experienced and gifted creative writer and graphics, and we'll pull that in-house so that it'll ultimately be a 3-person team before long.
Very good. Well, I'm intrigued because I think people can learn from this. What part of marketing did you feel like you struggled with? Because I think that'll resonate with the analytics part.
No, I mean, I could do it, but it would drive me to drinking. Ultimately, if I literally sat there and grinded in Excel spreadsheets every day, I get headaches, and people wonder why I'm crabby as a leader. It's because it's not my gift. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very good. No, that's interesting. All right. I want to, the big reason why I brought each of you on is you've gone through at least 2 rebrandings I can think of, each of you, which is a huge undertaking. To get some members to do it once would be like moving mountains and earth and all that. So I wanted to get your insight on this. First of all, Tim, let's just go ahead and start with you. How do you kind of position yourself in the market now? I mean, you've got a real nice, clean logo. You have the dark green. What's your kind of messaging to your community?
I think more than anything, when you see our trucks, it was that subtle. We wanted it to look like we've been in business for 76 years, which we have, but not beat people over the head with that.
Yeah.
So all of our logos tend to have a nostalgic feel to it.
Yep.
And it was the colors. We were fortunate were really easy for us to come by. We're green and yellow. There's not a lot of green and yellows out there.
Right.
That stands out. But the only reason we're green and yellow is because when my dad bought his first oil truck, he was a BP dealer, and of course BP's colors are green and yellow.
Right.
And so it would be nice to say there's some magic to how that happened, but that's how that happened.
Okay. Very good.
We've done it a couple times because we were in franchise for 1 hour and Sparky, and we had lots of brands, and now consolidating everything under the Boulden Brothers brand is when we really saw the growth take off.
Talk about, share with people, what is that process like? I mean, from rebranding, from trucks to letterhead to everything, like what are some things that you learned in each of those 2 experiences that maybe some nuggets you could share with people, and things that you did right, things you did wrong?
Yeah, I'm not saying this is right, but we just bought or leased a whole new fleet and had them all come in wrapped. Because our fleet was starting to get old. And so we just work with Enterprise now, and they do all of our fleet stuff. It's a lot easier than it used to be because it's more digital. You have to make sure your digital presence is ready to go. There's not much letterhead that we use anymore.
Sure.
You buy a little bit of letterhead, some of that we print in house. You buy a few envelopes because those are harder to print.
Right.
But we hardly use any paper stock anymore.
Sure.
But it was, as much as anything, rebranding, and we use the brand guys, just like Brian does, and they helped us with the brand. So we have our brand pyramid of brand diamond, of who we are, our north, south, east, and west, our strengths, weaknesses, and we went through all those. And I think we're very fortunate that it was easy for how we appear to the world is truly who we are. And so that makes the messaging for everybody else really easy.
Yeah. How beneficial is it to have an outside vendor or just assistant in that process rather than trying to internalize it and do it all on your own?
See, Brian's the creative guy. I am not. And so I have to have it. I'm much more comfortable in the analytical side. I'm frustrated with the internet, mainly because there's so many choices.
And it changes.
And most of the things that people have told me to try on the internet have failed.
Yeah.
But no, we have to have the creative, and we use Charlie Mosier from the brand guys. He's a genius. He does our radio and TV. He's won Addy Awards for our campaigns. That's out my comfort zone, and so we needed that. He also became almost the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, to make sure that we stay on message and the company identity stays as we started it as.
Yeah, very good. And just to kind of follow up on notifying the market and customers, is it, you redid the trucks, like you said, letterhead, that kind of stuff has kind of gone by the wayside, but scripting, right? Obviously people are calling in, your call takers have a different script. How do they handle that question of, wait, I thought you guys were, Mr. Sparky before, or even before that, when you were your family business and you switched to a franchise? I mean, really probably raised eyebrows.
I think the one thing that made it a little bit easier for us, Boulden was always a component of the name. So it was always Boulden's 1 hour. It wasn't, and they didn't allow us to do that in the Mr. Sparky, but it was Boulden Plumbing. So when we went to the Boulden Brothers, there was always that Boulden component that gave you some sort of a smoother transition. Going through a full name change, we just did that with our drain cleaning business. Set up a division called Clog Wizards, and so we've gone through some of that recently, explaining that it's a company owned by the Boulden Brothers, but we specialize in drain cleaning. So you just have to have everybody prepared.
Right. I guess if you answer the phone, people are happy, right? When they need something and you answer, okay, good, great. Can you be here with? Okay, great. You can come on out. So, very good. Well, thank you, Tim. Brian, you've gone through a bunch of iterations of your name, and you've changed the whole brand a couple of times. I always respected you were willing to put yourself out there and make these big changes. Kind of share with everyone your path and how you've gotten to Service Legends, and then what your current colors and all that look is.
Sure. So again, the aesthetics aspect was my weakness. And I would say naming the company was also a weakness. It's really funny how it started out Leechman, heating and cooling. And so people call me hey, Brian Leechman all the time, and that's not my name. But we had 100-year-old, so I was 21 years old. We had a 100-year-old lumber company in town called Leechman Lumber. And I'm like, I'll just make it Leechman Heating and Cooling then, and piggyback off that brand. And quite frankly, people were like, they would ask that all the time, and I'd be out running service calls myself. And then it was Alger Leechman because of a real short stint on a partnership. But that gave me a #1 position in the phone book. So I was like, I'm just going to leave it like that for a while. And then I made it to A Leechman, and it got pretty branded as Leechman from jingles and different things like that. And then I went to John Young's marketing class, and he said, well, if your name can describe the way that you service the market, it's a good name. And I'm like, Leechman, Leech. Well, I could take it positive. We heal systems, because that's how the doctors used to draw poison from it. I'm like, I'm gonna have a hard time selling that story, right? Not a big bridge to build. So I was sitting at a home show one day, and I'm like, service something. We service, but how do we want to service? And then I was bored because it was a home show. It was 10 a.m. and nobody was in there.
Right.
And I get bored long enough, something's coming. And so Service Legends came out, and then we had to bridge a very strong brand on Leechman over to Service Legends. So it was Leechman Service Legends for 2-3 years just to piggyback it, and then it was Service Legends, and we did very different variations of caricatures, and I think you even had a Compass article. We had some characters that on the van pretty soon we're like, man, these vans are starting to look like a NASCAR van. And that's where the walls started to come down, and I started to recognize I sucked at marketing, because I'd just throw all kinds of stuff on these vans,
Sure.
And it wasn't very poignant. So someone came in, did a brand overhaul, big discovery, and it was a good size investment. And they started right out of the gates with, your logo is black and red. 79% of the heating and air conditioning companies in your market have a black and red logo. And you say you want to be different. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
good point. Right. And so I dropped the wall, and I said, all right, tell me what we need to do. I'm not the aesthetic guy. And we went an entire brand identity system. And then the logos, I had about 15 variations of the logo, and one of them was purple. And I'm like, and that was my favorite color when I was a kid. And it's a kingdom color. I totally took it down a faith road. I'm like, I can get excited about purple. Purple's royalty. Cool. I'm a son of God, and I'm like, and so I got all excited, and I'm like, let's make them purple.
Yeah, so it's unique, right? Yeah, how I don't see purple ever in my market. I don't see it very often. So
that's the way we went, and the identity system and how we market the core client. If I could summarize that identity system in a nutshell, it's, we want to deliver a Ritz-Carlton like experience on a median household budget, and so we're not going to be cheapest, and I want the market to understand that, but they will get far more value than what they invest.
So I like it. Just in terms of, again, the practical nature of it, how did you handle your vans, your trucks in this? Did you just overhaul it all at once? Was it?
We ripped them all off.
Ripped the Band-Aid off.
And recolored them all. I bought a bunch of new vans too, because we were ready. So we timed that fairly well. I'll tell you one piece of this though. It was $10,000 for them to build the brand standards, and this was just a fraction of the overall discovery process, and all the work went into the rebrand.
Sure.
I'm like, let's wait on that part. And then like 2 years later, my lead of my marketing, she's like, I think we need to do this. It's important. I'm like, okay. And we did it. And I don't know why I was trying to pinch 10 grand and save $10,000 because it's become a tool that I can give to any marketing component.
Right.
These are the standards. And
yeah.
And so it finally has gotten to a point where if anything's going to market, I don't care if it's an invoice adjustment, how our invoices go out, it goes to marketing before it goes to market. So
that's a good nugget. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, we have our brand. Then you need a plan, right? Every year you need to have a plan. Tim, let's bounce it over to you. I got a series of questions. Let's start with the easier one. Very straightforward. What percentage of revenue do you kind of allocate to marketing each year?
We were budgeted for 9.68% this year.
Mm-hmm.
With the rate of growth, it's going to be somewhere in the low nines, I would guess, by the end of the year.
Very good. Very good. So even with the demand that is out there for all of our services, you still are sinking a good chunk of change into it. How do you guys approach seasonality? I'm being in the HVAC business, and I know plumbing gets seasonal at times, right? Holidays it goes up. What do you allocate additional funds in those slower months to try and offset that?
I'll take this. One of the mistakes that we used to make is we used to back off the marketing in the busy months in the heat of the summer, and we don't do that anymore. So instead of doing that, backing off, we just make sure that we have the manpower to be able to do more. So we have our install crews, and then we have maintenance people that we know we can partner with them in the season. So hopefully we can go from 3 to 5 or 6 jobs a day in the summertime.
Okay.
Plumbing and electric, we don't do much mail for either, so it's TV and radio. That goes all the time, and the pay-per-click goes all the time. And then the HVAC, we do have campaigns, whether it's for tune-ups that come in we don't like to do the tune-ups too early because if people aren't in that mindset, it's hard to draw to do that.
Yeah.
So we'd rather do our club members early, especially our older club members early, to try and get the leads out of those. And let's get the tune-ups that we're marketing for cash tune-ups when people are starting to think about it.
Okay. How do you go ahead and think about your marketing as you're planning for growth into the next year? I mean, as you just go back 3 years and look at how things have traditionally gone, and then say, okay, we need to allocate an additional 20% towards this medium, or what's your approach towards it?
Boy, I think marketing is as much art as it is science.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start to get heavier on radio and TV, some of it's just going to be that leap of faith where you say, boy, as an example, the change that we made on radio this year took us from 32% of the people hearing us to 42%.
Mm-hmm.
And we just do drive times, tend to be early in the week. But what we do think is we have maxed out the radio in our market for this year. So there's very little that we can add to the radio moving forward that's going to move the needle a lot. So when I get into the analytics of that, Charlie is the guy that's doing all the analysis, talking to the radio stations, looking at the ratings. So it's mail's easy if we either mail heavily to a zip code or don't mail to it at all. So if we're going to commit to a new zip, we're committing all the way. So we know how we go to each area. We're very focused. We'll probably get into that discussion a little bit later in terms of our super primary and primary zip codes, and that leads the whole conversation.
Okay, very good. And I guess, how do you track? I see this question all the time. How do you track your media? Your marketing. How do you track it? What do you guys do in terms of tracking? I know you mentioned before, TV and radio. There's kind of it's hard to do that, right? It's just more of a branding medium. But how do you go ahead and track what you can?
For me or Brian?
No, it's for you, Tim, and I'll go to Brian next. Yeah.
Titan makes it easy. Certainly all the internet reports that you can get, although every report from an internet vendor makes them look like they're generating half of your revenue. I'm sure Brian knows that too. All of a sudden, you're a $10 million business, you're spending a few dollars on something, they're telling they're generating $1.6 million worth of business, something like that. And it's not true. So you have to try and cut through everything that they're doing to make themselves look good.
Sure.
But it's also easy if you're growing. If you hit your growth goals or you're above it, you just kind of say, "Ooh, I guess something's working."
Right. Yep. A little bit of hope, or a little belief that you're coming from all angles and you're covering your bases. So, Brian, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. What's that?
Sorry. So if we're looking at our breakdown, we're about 3% is mail. Internet's almost 3%. We're a couple percent on the radio, and we're 1% on TV. So radio will as a percentage will go down as we grow. TV will probably increase, and then as a percentage, internet and mail probably won't change very much.
Interesting. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll get in each one of those mediums again in a little bit too. Brian, want to kind of the same line of questioning. What percentage of revenue do you kind of allocate towards marketing? Again, I know you put a big push at the beginning of this year, but what are you planning for in 2022?
Well, hold on, let me back it up. So when we were heavily direct response, I would get up into the 13%, sometimes 15%, and it was crushing. And that was because we didn't have a strong brand presence. So once we, started to teeter that the other direction, I still live by a lot of the kind of the overall thought in that we're going to be about 55% branding, and we're going to be about 45% either direct response or pull presence when they go to search online. And I don't worry about ROI on the branding. My approach in that is believe in our brand, believe in the message that we're taking into the market and the value of the service, and then just articulate it well in a loving and engaging sort of way. I don't try to figure out which station's working or any of that kind of stuff. But we do get a little more scientific in the direct response pull because it's so much easier to track. I'll pull my hair out trying to figure out which radio station works.
Right.
And so, we use Titan lead sourcing, and probably one of my funnest stories around it all is when I was really getting super analytical and measuring it. Number one lead source, number two, number three, it was always internet, radio, referral. And they would all change around a little bit. And so I really started getting excited about that referral one. I like referral being number one or two even, but for sure in the top three, it's awesome because that tells me no matter how much I market, people are experiencing the brand and the way that I promise, and that's what gets referrals. And so I pay a good amount of attention to the amount of referrals and the ratios and what that looks like. So
it's a good nugget. What are you doing to drive referrals? Organic? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll get there in a second. I suppose I want to fill that gap. We worked our way to be under 10% in marketing, and then we budgeted 9.6. Last year we budgeted 8.7, and we ended up at 8.3, and we grew 27%. So I will say I did make the mistake years back, and I went, I'm going to see if I can get marketing costs down to 7, and we went backwards. So you got to be strategic if you're going to reduce that percentage, and so it's coming down for us. It is definitely coming down while we're growing, and I like that.
And real quick before we get to the referral thing, I'd say for both your organizations, very well trained. Your people are very well trained, right? They're taking I don't want to say advantage, but they're maximizing every opportunity, right? So the marketing may stay relatively similar, but you had the growth because probably you're getting more people that are executing well on every call. I think that's a good nugget to pass along to people, that they understand that you can't, once you get the leads, that's only a little bit of it, right? We got to make sure we maximize those leads. I'm intrigued by this. Oh, go ahead. What's that, Tim?
You can't outmarket poor performance in the field.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, a sage, and I won't say who, but a sage once said to me after listening to a guy's story, he said to the room, you don't have a marketing problem, you got a quality problem, right? And so we could spin our wheels trying to figure out the magic and mystery of marketing, but if we deliver a level of service that went above and beyond what their investment was, they will refer.
Absolutely. Just to get back to that referral thing, is that all organic referrals, or are you doing something to drive that from your customer base? I mean, I know over the years we'll give you $50, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, or I thought at one time you told me you didn't like doing that, but I
despise it.
That's what I thought. I thought so. As I started talking, I remember you talking about that.
Reminds me of the U.S. government and Wall Street. Bribery to get stuff done. No.
Right.
I want to earn the referral through extraordinary service. And there are different seasons. We've done some pretty fun stuff with that, but there is none of the business card on the back, refer a friend, get $50. It all comes back from when I had a really bad haircut once. And I was looking up and it's like, refer a friend, get, you know, $10 off your next haircut. I'm like, does it matter?
Yeah.
If I get $10 off if it's a crap haircut?
Yeah.
So earn the referral and create an extraordinary experience. And then this one just comes from Don't Keep Me a Secret, and I loved it. And that is plant referral seeds. Don't keep, you know, we're never too busy to help out a friend. So if you know someone, don't keep it a secret. It's just seed plants throughout different areas. And then every once in a while we will activate. It's usually if somebody has the bandwidth to do it, but we'll honor their referral for sure. But sometimes we have some fun with it. And if they've referred one client, you know, we'll send them some movie tickets. If they've referred 2 clients in the last year, then we'll send them to dinner. And, you know, we just take care of it on the backside. Thank you.
Like it.
And we send it in the mail. Appreciate the referral. It was real enjoyable working with, you know, whatever their friend name was.
Yeah.
And we're going to take good care of them and appreciate it. And then that just
stimulates even more. Sure.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Just to kind of wrapping up this little segment here, in terms of, again, planning for growth and budgetarily wise, do you, you know, again, I know you're into plumbing now, but it hasn't been that long. You've primarily been HVAC, and it's always and you're in the Midwest where we definitely get seasons, right? So how do you kind of approach your budget and shift it based on those seasons, or do you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll come up, dollar amount will come up higher in light seasons.
Yeah.
Dollar amount, we won't necessarily come down in busy seasons. That's a question based upon capacity. And so if we could use another 7 technicians by the time we hit the busy season, then yeah, we will dial it down, because the last thing I want to do is market for a service and not be able to take care of them.
Sure.
May not get a second chance to do that, right? So
right.
Our percentage in lighter seasons, the percentage is higher, and in busy seasons, the percentage is low. I mean, it's not uncommon for us to have a 4% marketing month in a real busy season. Not because we shut it off, but we will go, like June is going to be a great example. If we're 55% branding, 45% direct response, that type of stuff, there's going to be certain things that are going to come out of that direct response, and we'll just reallocate it over to brand.
Right. I was going to say, you really don't need the direct response. You just want people to remember when their air conditioner pops and it's 100 degrees in Iowa.
Yeah, we don't pull it off of PPC because we want them to be able to find us easy when, I mean, they're thinking of us. So, you know, top of the mind. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Very good. Let's talk about target audience. I think each of you have maybe some unique perspective to bring on this. Tim, I'm going to start with you with this line of questioning. I know we've talked enough that I know that you concentrate on really several zip codes. You're in a very heavy metropolitan area, lots of metro areas bumped up against each other, Northeast. Maybe share with everyone your approach in terms of targeting.
Yeah, we've actually shrunk our territory. When we were in franchise, we were north to south, and our territory was taking 2 hours and going through very rural areas before you're hitting a lot of people. And we just decided that if we want to market more where people know us, we think that your marketing dollars go a lot further. And that until we start to saturate a zip code, we're not going to start to expand in that zip code. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the things that we're doing where we can target, like the direct mail or the pay-per-click that you can target by geographic areas. And this is pretty interesting. And I suggest everybody do this. And Brian, being in a major metropolitan area, is probably a little bit different. But half of our business is in our top 5 zip codes, and 78% is in our top 10, and 95% is in our top 20 zip codes. So we classify a super primary zip code is over $500,000, and we have a few of those. A primary is over 100,000. A secondary is over 20,000. And anything other than that, the only way they're going to get anything from us is if there's bleed through on the radio or TV that we can't control.
Right.
And so actually, we're only going to be going to the primaries, and we're not even doing our concentrated, focused effort on all of our primary zip codes yet. So we've been adding about 1 a year in terms of the mail. The other thing that we do is that for HVAC, our pay-per-click follows our primary zip codes also.
Okay. Okay.
So we're not trying to do pay-per-click for the whole region for HVAC. We're much more selective. Plumbing and electric, we will cover all through our secondaries, but HVAC we do not. We just go through our primaries.
Okay. Now I'm imagining some people are going to go, well, Tim, how did you determine your primaries? Were those just the 5 zip codes you did the most business in, or did you say those have the oldest homes? Those are the more affluent areas. How did you determine those 5?
Well, I will say that affluence can be a negative. We have some areas that, like from the DuPont legacy in Delaware, the Chateau country, and if they have a housekeeper or house manager, we don't want to be mailing to those people because they don't see any value in it. We would much rather mail to the average 2-story colonial that's in our area. That's who we want to go to. The whole concept of the super primary and secondary came from stochastic marketing. That does our direct mail, and then it's that whole approach is taken over just how we think about marketing. So we're currently mailing to 7 zip codes.
Okay.
So if we're mailing to them, then we're also for HVAC we're doing the pay-per-click in those same zip codes. But if we're not doing that for HVAC, then they're getting the radio and the TV, but that's all they're getting.
Okay. There's something interesting you had told me. I think we worked on a presentation on this for an expo. At one point, you had a city that you thought was, you were servicing, but you go, it is a pain in the rear to get my trucks into. My guys hate it. We're doing X amount of revenue, but you know what? It's just the juice ain't worth the squeeze anymore. Can you kind of share that story with people?
Well, yeah, it was a little fiefdom. So the permitting and inspection department was awful to deal with, and you're getting parking tickets every time you turn around, even though you're helping their constituents. But the interesting analysis was we looked at the revenues from that area, but then we also looked at the number of permits that we were pulling, which would be for water heaters, panels, or new HVAC equipment, and it was very, very few.
Yeah.
So if we're running ourselves crazy off of service calls and we're not having a chance for many conversions to larger tickets, then you're really wasting your time. You're not probably making any money in that zip code. Right. So yeah, we cut that city out. We have stopped servicing oil equipment.
Right. That's right. Yeah, you've switched a couple things like that. Yeah.
Last year, and pretty soon here we're going to stop hydronics entirely.
Yeah.
If we're training our people, and our market in the Northeast is a little unique to have heavy hydronics and oil, but if I'm having to bring people up to speed, taking oil and hydronics out of the mix allows me to get people up to speed a lot faster. And then you don't have to worry about the stock on the trucks. And so, yeah, it's the other thing we've learned is every time we've been more focused, like when we sold our oil business, we became more profitable. When we sold our propane business, what was left became more profitable. When we get rid of these little sidelines, what is left becomes more profitable, because you'd be amazed if you ever did a time study on how much time you spend on something that you're getting very little return on.
Right. And I was going to ask you, in terms of windshield time for your technicians, now that you've cut down, they're not driving an hour out, how is their efficiency gone up? Have you seen labor percentages go down as a result?
Yeah, margins are up because of that. So your travel time goes down. The marketing is much more effective and efficient because people see us, they see us regularly. And then when we're always in their neighborhood, just like Brian was talking about referrals, the more people you do in a neighborhood, the more you're likely to do. And so you just kind of get that steamrolling effect, as opposed to, if you want to add $100,000 in sales in your business, is it easier to do it in a zip code where you're already doing 300,000 or 400,000, or a zip code where you're doing 20,000?
Company Cam saves contractors an hour a day, every day. Here's how. Smart contractors snap photos before, during, and after every job. With Company Cam, it's never been easier to document your work, show your progress, or make sure you have evidence of pre-existing damage. All of those photos are stored in the cloud and not on your phone, and they're organized by project location. Don't worry about storage limits. With Company Cam, you can store as many photos as you want. Plus, all your photos are synced instantly to everyone on your crews with the app. You can even comment and tag other users directly on a photo or project. Within Company Cam, you'll have an extensive photo library that allows you to quickly create PDF photo reports, share progress with clients, or make slick before and after images to share on social media. Stop driving job site to job site or texting and emailing photos. Know what's happening across your business. Get started for free today.
Support for this podcast comes from NAVAC. NAVAC is a global manufacturer and has dedicated over 25 years to the production of vacuum pumps, recovery solutions, and HVAC tools. NAVAC draws upon its commitment to technical innovation, customer service, and R&D investment to develop tools that deliver efficiency, accuracy, and ease of use in the real world. Visit www.navacglobal.com for more information.
Welcome back to the show. I'm talking to Tim Boulden of Boulden Brothers in Newark, Delaware, and Brian Leech of Service Legends in Des Moines, Iowa. We're talking about how to be more strategic in your marketing, and they've shared so much more information, and we have so much more to go. So let's jump back into my conversation with Tim Boulden and Brian Leech. All right, Brian, I'm going to switch to you because I know you know, Des Moines Iowa's a unique state, right? It's Des Moines, I feel like the main show. I know there's a lot of smaller cities, but and it's getting bigger. I know it's a popular place for people to relocate now. It's getting denser. What is your service area? Do you cover the entire metro and outside it, or how far out do you guys reach?
So radio ultimately goes far beyond our service area. We got some pretty big towers here, and we do a flex service area. So based upon the volume, we're 60 on average, and we'll tighten to 45 on busy season, and then we'll go a little past 60 if it's real light. As far as direct mail goes, we go 45-mile radius of the capital. Is kind of the baseline rule of engagement. We don't do a ton of direct mail. We're reactivating it, and we did some tests last year, but we're going down the more the Boulden style, and we're chasing through our direct mail. We're putting it into the areas that we already are. Not using mountains of data from Skotastic. We walked through that, but really using our zip codes and what gets accomplished within the zip codes of our system, and then we're sending messaging to clients, existing clients in the system, and then additional clients in those particular areas.
Yeah, that was gonna be a follow-up in terms of existing clients, club members. How do you market to those people? Like, what is it? Just email, letters, phone calls, just to remind them, hey, it's time for that tune-up, or hey, do you have a plumbing need? Just checking in on you. What do you guys? What's your approach?
Well, so for plumbing and electrical, because we're going into service calls on electrical in like 2 weeks, right? And plumbing still to this day. Well, no, I think we finally started having a tiny little presence on PPC for plumbing. But it was just call our club members and say, hey, and we just added value for giving them a plumbing inspection and checking the systems out. So we've been operating that way for 9 months, not marketing plumbing. And the reason, I suppose it's really Gus's counsel on this, that make sure you're operationally excellent before you scale up, right? And so, and then also, I went through the seasons of getting too many calls and burning HVAC techs, and they quit. And so we're taking it nice, easy, organic, low cost from a marketing standpoint. Growth on plumbing and electrical will do the same thing, because as soon as I open the floodgates and the market is aware, it will steamroll our entire plumbing and electrical division, and I'll turn them over. And so we're being real quiet about that. As far as we text, we call club members. We've got we call out on clients that have used us in the past but haven't had a tune-up or maintenance in a while. We convert in on the top side, we convert 43% of those that we just make the phone call. And this is non-club member re-engagement. On the top side, 43%. On the low side, 25%. So depending on which agent and how much training.
Sure. Very good. Tim, I did, just to throw back to you real quick, I didn't ask about club members. How do you guys approach club members? Maybe just customers have used you multiple times but have not purchased a club membership. What's your different contact points? How frequently are you getting to them?
Well, our club includes every other year plumbing inspection and water heater flushing every third year, panel rejuvenation and safety inspection. So we're constantly going outbound to try and book those appointments. They're much more difficult to book than the tune-ups on their heater or air conditioner. But no, for the clubs, other than making the efforts to do the visits, most of our efforts, if we're going outbound, is to our non-club members. And so we are pulling that list always from the oldest age of equipment to the youngest and going outbound for cash maintenance.
Right. Very good. Just I'm going to throw this out to each of you, and maybe you do something in particular, but marketing is more and more not just finding leads, it's finding people. Like we're marketing to find technicians and stuff like that. Well, is there anything that you do, or what do you do, I should say, specifically to market for additional employees? Is that part of your branding strategy on radio, or is it just, I don't know, what is there anything you guys, either one of you, do that's unique or maybe insightful for the membership to hear?
Sure.
Go ahead, either one who wants to.
Good, Brian.
If it's in the busy season, that's a lot of times what we'll flip the branding to is just the type of people we're looking for. And that's, we're planning for 6 months out when we're doing that, so
Sure.
We just know we've got the funds allocated. We don't necessarily want another 400 service calls in that particular month, but let's go ahead and advance brand. Other than that, we use a bunch of Indeed. And I think over the last 8 years, we've got a real strong brand presence that we're the top paying company, top benefits from an HVAC or trades standpoint. We have a brand established on that. The quality of candidate that comes in to work here. I mean, I think the market just knows you can't be a schlep rock that's rude with a bad attitude. Don't even, I think there's a brand strength in repelling people that our clients wouldn't want.
Right.
So we have that in play. And, Indeed is a big engine. We've got a full-time recruiter who builds relationships and just stays close to that. We've experimented with some career fairs, and then every once in a while I'll get called in and I'll do something real big splash thing. Like we have an apprenticeship week that's highly publicized by our leadership in the state, the governor and lieutenant governor and all that. And so they're an advocate for apprenticeship. So, it'll be a big blitz, apprenticeship week. And so there was one year we had lots of candidates come through, and I spoke into the company, spoken to the trades, and the governor was there and spoke into it as well. Cool. She came into our business. There's a couple trade schools that we will go and deliver value to those trade schools and just talk about, you got commercial, you've got new construction, you got residential. Here's what's different. So really just helping them understand their own personalities and where they're going to be the best fit. Not really even to recruit. We're just going to give value. And so we get quite a few that come just join in that. Some guys are made to do commercial. Some guys, rough, tough, rolling cowboy, true grit Iowa guy. Probably, unless he's more on the John Wayne side where it's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Right.
We're going to want to be in a different trade or different part of the trade than residential service.
Sure. No spit cups allowed at Service Legends, I imagine.
That's right.
Tim, how about you in terms of the recruiting side? What kind of resources do you dedicate towards, trying to recruit additional people to come in? Is it through your radio? Do you brand that and try and find people that way?
Yeah, no, we do it on the radio, but we also have a full-time recruiter, and we set up the budget for recruiting and what we're going to do. We're in the process of setting up the boldenbrothers.jobs website also. We want to be prospects differently than we want to be talking to our clients or prospective clients. So we're in the process of setting that up, and excited to be working with Brandon Jones from SGI because we are not good on Indeed. And we need to get good. And it's interesting what Brian said earlier, how he took marketing over. I feel like now what I'm starting to get more involved in is the recruiting and the marketing and all the things that are tied around that, including the training, because that's where the opportunity is. The person that has the people to send is going to win. So, but it's interesting how those two are so tightly connected now.
Sure.
How you look to the market in terms of clients and how you look to the market in terms of employees. Is your message similar? Obviously there's differences, but is the what way we talk internally, the way we talk to the clients, and fortunately for us, as I said earlier, that matches up. But the two are really closely related. And the training component is a constant work in progress, getting better.
It comes up in every conversation, right? Even in marketing, I feel like it's pertinent to talk about. So good insight, guys. Good insight. I want to talk a little bit about specific marketing mediums and kind of what you guys do. I think that'll help people to hear you talk about each one. Brian, let's start with you. In terms of the online, what's your internet mix? LSA, PPC, Facebook ads, SEO. Like, do you do all of it? Is there one that does better than the other for you guys, or maybe speak to your internet strategy?
We match PPC to the volume we can take. So we always got our bid amounts around where we can take the volume, and pretty strategic in the different PPC ads, just the normal stuff that works. Display, it's more of a branding tool. I mean, it's just not direct response, no matter how much I want it to be. Social media is just more of the fun, and I would say we're not great at the social media overall. We're there, we get engagement, and we have some fun with it, but we're not super strategic about it yet. And then a lot of radio, a lot of TV, and a strong digital footprint, and a good website. It's easy to use. Flows through the engagement funnel, I guess. The website's got to convert.
Yeah. So, how often are you updating your website, monitoring it, seeing can we improve it? Is that a year by year thing? Are you looking at it week by week, or how about you?
Yeah, it's very consistent because we hired the analytical person that manages PPC, website, SEO, display. So lots of building, but the area that is a gap for us. My gift is creative writing, not colors or any of that kind of stuff, right? Like, creative writing, I'm good at. I love writing, and that's an area of a weakness for us, because I'm not doing it, and I don't have someone
to do it,
writing it. And it's a hard thing to delegate because I want it to be on brand, and I want it to be loving, and I want, it's a hard thing, and to write it with accuracy, right? It's not a bunch of fluff. So anyway, I would say from an overall approach in anything, our style is less data driven. We of course look at the data, but we write towards and we market towards really the personas that are. You get the 4 different personalities, but in the context at a deeper level of that, the personalities that are more inclined to want Service Legends as their provider.
Right. Do you utilize any kind of email marketing while we're sticking to the internet side of stuff?
Yeah, it's existing clients, so just keeping them in the loop. And, hey, here's what's going on. And
is it a monthly thing? Like, is it a discounted tune-up, or just, hey, is it more of a branding tool for you?
I'd say it's more newsletter kind of update, but here's what's going on right now, and it's real soft engagement into, we want to make sure they know we do plumbing, or for example, or whatever. It's real soft engagement, like, hey, we do this, by the way. No real hard hitting, invest $79 in a peak performance tune-up and get 100% of your money back if you don't, or whatever.
Sure.
No hard hitting headlines there.
Right. Just one more follow-up to you before, Tim, I'll throw to you in a second. What do you turn off your PPC or any of that at any point, or do you always feel like even when you're saturated in the middle of August, do you turn it off, or do you just say always, hey, I'm afraid to turn it off because then it's not going to respond as well when we turn it back on? Right.
No, we keep it pretty up, because then from there, when there's more calls that we can run, then we can optimize the calls that we're choosing to run.
Sure.
So
that's true.
Certain levers we can elevate success.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yep.
All right, Tim. Let me switch over to you. The clock's rolling by. Let's talk about online before we get into some more traditional mediums.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I made the mistake of somehow I upset Google because I think I cut back too much. So like Brian, I'm reluctant to touch it very much. I would rather have my dispatchers. We know that in a super primary zip code, our opportunity to perform well also increases. So if we have a 15-year-old system in a great zip code, we're going to turn around a repair call on a 4-year-old air conditioner that's somewhere far away from us.
Sure.
And so when you get overrun with calls, you have to say, boy, we're going to take the calls, or we may have to cancel some people, but we're going to take the calls that give us the best opportunity. We do about what Brian was saying, very little on social in terms of direct response. We are becoming much more branded. We're probably about the 55-45 also.
Okay.
And that's just me pushing for the 45. The brand guys would say that we should be higher branding.
Sure.
We're getting away from talking about price more and more because we have the same philosophy. We're not going to be the cheapest. We're going to provide the greatest value when we're out there. And so we don't want the perception of people thinking we're the cheapest, because then you're going to disappoint them when you're in the house.
Sure. Sure.
But the internet's so broad. I think we do a little bit of everything. We do email blast to non-customers also. The Gannett paper in our area is helping us with that. And we do some of that track you down, follow you stuff, and some video on there. I don't know. You got to be there. It's just like all the other adage. Half of it works. I'm not sure which does, because everybody that I use on the internet tells me their stuff is working.
Sure. The key thing, I think, for both of you is you're everywhere you can be, right? You have a presence. You're not ignoring anything, and you're just doing enough to have that consistent presence.
And we're still in the yellow pages. They came to us for renewal, and they wanted $30,000, and we told them we could pay 10 based off of their response from last year. They politely declined, and then they called us back a week later and said, we'll do it for 10. So, if you can track your calls, you can see your calls and your revenue, and if it's worthwhile, do it. If you're not getting anything out of it, obviously I would have stopped.
Sure.
But the days of them being high and mighty are long gone.
Oh boy, yeah, I get some flashbacks writing yellow page ads 20 years ago. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I haven't heard that word in a long time, right? We used to dedicate half of Expo for that. All right. That's really funny. All right. Traditional mediums like TV, radio, broadcast. Brian, let's flip it over to you. And Brand Guys is who you use, right? How frequently are you guys getting together to shoot commercials, and what is kind of the main theme through your different campaigns?
So I am out of the TV. They kicked me.
Oh, you're
out
of TV. So it's all radio then, right?
No. Like me personally, as being a star actor in those, I'm out. They banned me.
You're out of that. All right.
Because it was real hard. It was real clunky, right? I got to make sure that I didn't work till 9 o'clock the night before and have bags on my eyes. It's just too much planning. I loved it. I love, being in that arena. But we turned that over to the local branding company, and they bring the actors in, and they really represent the brand well, and it's almost all 100% branding. If I speak into it, it's because I've got something fun and creative that I kind of want injected into it.
Sure.
Now the radio, I flat out love writing radio ads, but I don't build them from the ground up often. If I do, I'll send a sloppy first draft over to the brand guys. He'll send it back, and then I'll just change it to how I want, and then we record it. Sure. I love doing radio. I love bringing, like, I say y'all, and I say words that aren't in the dictionary, and so I have to rewrite it because I'm gonna say it like me. I'm just gonna have a conversation with the market, and I'm pretty particular about the radio. So I don't write them any. Well, I mean, I do if I have a new idea, but I'm less involved. But I still go in and record them, and I know what's, I'll edit that. I'll usually have the final edits.
How often are you changing those messages out? Is it seasonally? Is it, and what are those messages, when do you do, I guess Director Schranz is more in the spring versus the summer where it's more branding, or maybe speak to that a bit.
It's pretty easy for whatever reason for me to write or make a radio ad into a direct response, but what I don't like to do it often. And so we'll do it when we need to, offer related, call to action, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I really like to have fun and educate and entertain. And so it shifts definitely based upon season, shifts based upon, I'll give you an example, right? So we're marketing for HVAC and tune-ups, and, we marketing for diagnostics. So I've got a whole archive of all the different flavors over the last 15 years. I mean, we probably have like 500 radio ads. And one day I was like, you know what? we don't really market for indoor air quality, and I think if we marketed for a duct cleaning spot, it'll be great. And so I wrote the duct cleaning spot, and then I had and it worked well. We ran it for 2 weeks, and we were backlogged on duct cleanings for 90 days, and we've been that way ever since.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, that's exciting. So I went and wrote another one. And I actually sang in it. And it was so cheesy, like dirty ducks, clean just right, you know. And we ran that thing for a week, and we backlogged even further. And so I'm ordering source removal trucks, and I get excited about it when we're bringing value and it works, and it's a message that the marketplace understands.
I like it. In terms of types of stations and channels, and then what your media schedule looks like, the practical side of it. Do you prefer to be on, broadcast news, local news? Do you, on TV, on the radio side, do you prefer to be on country music and only during drive time? Like, what's your approach on each of those mediums?
Great question. So with TV, we buy a show that matches our demographic, and news is a part of that. Radio, I stay away from the type of music that do not align with my values. So we're not, my commercial's not going to happen when Limp Bizkit just got done singing "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor." I don't even go into the hard, heavy rock, but easy listening, country, pop, any of that's fine. If it's foul crap going on those radio waves, I ain't touching it. I don't care if it gets a lead or not. It's your brand, right? It reflects it's my brand, and some of the music out there is trash. I mean, the Magical Worlds workshop hit me hard when he played that song about the pumped up kicks, and it's just this really upbeat, awesome song. Then he shut the music bed down on the back, and he said, "Now read the lyrics." And it was about a school shooter that went into a school because, and I'm like,
I know what song you're talking about. Yep.
And he trains marketing, media, the entertainment world. They understand they can float whatever bit of information into the right creative side of the brain if they change that tone up. And so, I don't know. I guess it affected me. It bothered me. So I've held to my guns on it.
Sure. Do you prefer to stack up most of your marketing like Monday, Tuesday, morning, rush hour? Like what's just
I don't know. Probably whatever Tim does, because I'm not that close to it anymore.
Yeah.
I know it's strategic.
But you rely on them though. You rely on them.
Yes, I do.
Guys to do that. Right.
I'm far away from traffic now.
Sure. Tim, I'm gonna throw it to you just because we're gonna go over time. I hope you guys, not too much. Hope you guys don't mind. In terms of your broadcast mediums, what kind of stations are you on? What kind of in terms of TV and channels and then radio stations, and what type of stuff do you broadcast on?
Yeah, we were trying because we're not in a major metropolitan area. Wilmington's our biggest city. There wasn't a great country station because the ones that were near us had signals that were so much broader than where we wanted to go. We want to be on a station that skews a little bit older and a little more affluent, so we're more looking at that. So it's more the contemporary pop, top 40. I'm not sure, adult contemporary, I think is what they call it. We're also pretty heavy on the news talk stations, even though they're both are AM, but one simulcast on FM. So obviously you're paying a lot less per spot, but you're getting an engaged older audience there. We cut about 18 new spots a year, and we can bring some out of the archives. So if we have ones we really like, we'll pull them back out and run them again. We think the life of a radio spot is shorter than the life of a TV spot. We go very heavily drive time. We hit the morning and evening drive, and we like to skew earlier in the week. We don't want to drive a lot of demand close to the end of the week, because then the calls may fall over the weekend when we really don't want to be running the calls.
Right.
TV, we're like Brian, we buy shows.
Right.
One of the most recent battles we've had is they want you to buy run of the network or run of their system, where they will put ads on wherever they want, and then you don't get any frequency. So we buy HGTV, Magnolia, Fox News. We were buying MSNBC and CNN. Their ratings are so low that I think we switched everything over to Fox.
Yeah.
So we're on a few stations there, but we have to be going on cable networks. We're not on ABC, NBC, or CBS, just because that would be out of Philly, and I'm only 10% of the Philly pie, so there wouldn't be any return on that investment.
Sure.
My brother and I are on the side of the trucks as a caricature, and we are on the radio, bantering back and forth. So the ads have stayed very consistent in terms of the background music and the banter. Obviously, the message changed each one, and we're animated in our TV commercials.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I didn't be on the side of the truck, and then to hear these voices coming from above, and then you see my God. And so you get that carryover across the brand. So I actually like the TV commercials better. Since they're only 30 seconds, it takes us no time to record it, and then it takes a while, but then you get to see these great things with the animator and what they've done. It's more exciting.
That's great. That's cool. As a follow-up to each of you on terms of what, because we get this a lot. When is the right time to start layering in TV or radio? So Tim, let's I was talking to you. Let's just go to you. Do you have any advice for the smaller members? You're like, oh boy, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and Brian alluded to it when he was very heavy direct response, and you have to make that decision because Lon Castle always called it crack marketing or cocaine marketing. I don't know what it was.
Crack cocaine marketing,
yeah, highly addictive.
Yeah, very addictive, and it's easy to get in that mode. And in the good old days, we used to be able to place a newspaper ad, and we know we get 8.2 calls off of one ad. You'd be able to just run the numbers and go from there. There's so many places people can find you that I think if you want to be known, you have to have a brand presence. The other thing I strongly recommend is we do 2 TOMA studies a year, so we can see how we're performing in terms of just recognition in the market. But it's a tough call. I don't know the exact number, but I would imagine when you start to get up around that 5 million range, you're probably going to have to start to do it. We've been doing it for so long, but it's really, I believe, what got us from that 5 or 6 to the 10 or 11. Okay. Because how much mail can you send?
Yeah.
How many billboards? Some places billboards are great. I think they're probably great here, but all my competitors are using them. So if they're all using them, I'm probably not going to.
Right. Yep. Good stuff. Brian, what's your?
I got a clear answer on that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but if you're going to do radio, you really have to do radio. Meaning, you can't just say, "Well, I'm going to take $2,000. I'm going to buy 100 spots in 1 month, or whatever the numbers are, and then think it's going to set the world on fire." It's a constant, repetitive branding, long-term commitment that you just kind of bite the bullet and say, "I believe it's going to work."
Yes. Yep.
So
go ahead, Brian.
I would say radio before TV.
Definitely.
First of all, and second, pick a station that's closest to your demographic. Pick a time slot that is consistent, and when you can take 60% of your total marketing budget and risk it a little bit for 6 weeks, because it'll take a little bit to get going. I don't think it's a wait till, for me, 5 million, because if I could go back and do it over, it's got to be a good radio ad. It's got to be, meet all those elements. You put crap out there, but as soon as I could be on a station in a time slot, I would start allocating funds towards it, because it's kind of like direct response in that aspect. With radio, you can pick an area of a time slot and a group of people on one station, and they can hear it consistently.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of more control on the direct mail side of it, obviously, but from a branding standpoint, that I'd say, man, as soon as you can stomach it, 60% of that marketing budget, I got a little extra money in the bank, enough for 6 weeks worth on one station and one time slot, then, and you can be on that station year round. I'd get started on it. With a good message, and then pick up more stations and more time slots and stuff like that.
Yeah. Patience is a virtue, though, when it comes to this stuff. Some rapid fire questions, guys. Sorry to have you over the hour, but just from the audience. The first one actually came from Facebook before this, as I was promoting this. Are either of you utilizing the direct booking feature for LSAs in the Service Titan?
Well, we're using the web scheduler.
Okay,
for sure.
Web schedule. Yeah.
And it's connected to our website. They can book online right into Titan with a capacity planner.
Okay.
I suppose we are. I'm not sure. I know we're using LSA. But.
Okay. Yep. And Tim says you said you are not. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Let's see. How have you marketed club memberships? Do either one of you market club memberships at all, or is that just something you sell once in the home or over the phone?
We do it very subtly. We call our terms a Boldenization, and we talk about the benefits you get from a Boldenization, and then usually at the end when we're talking about it, they'll say, "Man, if you're a Boulden Buddies Club member, you get all these included." So it's a really soft sell. Obviously, it's on the website. You can see the price and all that sort of stuff. But it's really soft on the radio. But we talk about the Boulden Buddies Clubs a lot.
Okay. All right. Brian, any insight on that?
Nope.
No, don't do it.
I think of it the same way as the referral side of it. I want them to test drive us from a level of service and ensure that they like us and trust us, and that it's a good marriage, so to speak. And so they can buy them online. On our website, people can buy club memberships. They sign up for it, but I don't take it to radio, TV, direct response. I'm more just test us out, and we'll earn your business. And
all right, one last quick question, and then I have one follow from the membership. Thoughts on send a sale for both referrals and spiffs? I think that's a new vendor. I'll plead ignorance on that one. Either one of you do anything like that? Or use them at all?
Yeah, we use it for referrals. We also use it as in the old days, you used to have to fill out a paper commission slip. And so now they do that on send a sale for us. So it allows the tech to set either a lead for HVAC, or if it's a plumber selling a water heater, he can put it in there. Because we don't pay any commission until the job's sold or installed and paid for. So it gives us the ability just to go back and track. It also gives them the ability to see, so it's constantly updated. But we have not used it for the customer referral aspects. I know they have something that they promote, and we've not used that.
Okay, so you do use them in one respect. Okay, and Brian, it looks like you don't have a relationship with them. Send a sale?
No, I'm writing it down. I've never heard of it.
I was looking on my phone. I was trying to be all coy about it, but then I was like, I just gonna throw it out there. So
I'll check it out.
Yeah, very good. All right, very last question for me. Just in general, Tim, we'll start with you, and then Brian will finish off with you. Any final advice you might have for the audience as it pertains to marketing and how to approach marketing? Maybe something you wish you had known over the last 20 plus years you guys have been doing this.
Yeah, I think that for us, we have to have the right marketing partners. Mm-hmm. We're very good at putting things in place and making sure that they're run. But we don't have the gift like Brian has. I can't write anything. I may occasionally change a word just because he used the wrong technical term or something like that. But we don't write the ads. But we have people that we trust. But you also have to have people that are as protective of your brand as you are.
Yeah.
And that's very important, because some of these guys will try and take you far afield, and you don't want to get too heavily promotional. You want to keep that good branding to promotional mix.
Yes. Yeah. Partner, not a salesperson, right? Partner, not a salesperson. Very good. Brian, what do you say? Any final words about marketing? Any advice you'd pass?
The last place I would look to find support for marketing is someone that's marketing for it. I think there's about 95% of the marketing knowledge out there is absolute crap. And I would say go for referral. Stay connected into the base. What are you doing? Why is it working? And I would take serious care into selecting who you're going to work with. And I would definitely do it through referral.
That's great.
It's a lot of crap to weed through.
I can only imagine what you guys see on Facebook. I know what I see on Facebook, but between groups and marketers, there's a lot of traffic out there. So,
well, somebody writes all those yellow page ads that you guys put on display at the executive, not the exec, the profit day or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody writes that crap that's got plumber's butt cracks and thinks it's a good idea.
Sure.
And, somebody writes it, and it's marketing people.
That's right. They're brilliant. So it helped us for a lot of years, that's for sure. All right. Well, wonderful. Hey, guys, thank you so much, Tim and Brian, for all your time. Thank you to everyone that watched us live and to those who asked questions. Just as a reminder, this video will be available very soon for SGI members on the Hub. Then it'll later go out through the Successful Contractor Show, which is available on YouTube and our podcast players. Hey, thanks again, everyone. Look forward to seeing you for our next monthly member discussion. That's on May 28th. Our topic will be recruiting, how to find better people, and more of them. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much. That's Tim Boulden of Boulden Brothers in Newark, Delaware, and Brian Leech of Service Legends in Des Moines, Iowa, talking about marketing strategically. Thanks for joining us. If you feel like you have a great story worth sharing that would also help other contractors, email me at bhouchin@yoursgi.com. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, if you're on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you're on your favorite podcast player, leave us a 5-star review. And please join us for future episodes. It's my promise to you that we will continue to interview successful contractors and other influential individuals in residential contracting. This has been The Successful Contractor, powered by Success Group International.
Support for this podcast comes from Professional Plumbing Group. How many hours in a day do your plumbers waste because you don't have the right part for the job? This problem leads to additional issues and reduced productivity, poor customer satisfaction, and increases your cost per job. Professional Plumbing Group, or PPG, can help you solve all those issues and more. We have everything you need to help your business grow and become more profitable by allowing you to focus on plumbing, not inventory management. Go to plumbmaster.com for more information. The Successful Contractor Podcast is part of the Success Group International family. SGI is the largest member-owned best practices organization for independent residential services contractors. SGI provides its members a competitive edge through proven proprietary management tools and expertise, marketing programs, training, and group buying power, along with a highly active and eager to help membership. For more information about Success Group International, visit www.yoursgi.com.